Right. All right. So the interesting thing to note is that after we took out this H4I, we actually came to a monthly area. So we came to this monthly resistance up here. So this new week is going to be pretty interesting actually. As much as I don't like making a calls or making calls on what price will do, because obviously I'm not sure, I'm not very sure until price prints out what he wants to do before I can say, oh, okay, this is what's going to happen. So the reason for this rejection obviously was a monthly SNR, a monthly resistance, and also that coincides with a weekly resistance. So we took weekly liquidity above this high. So this is a miss. This miss validates this SNR, this weekly SNR level. All right. So we tapped and then we started to sell for NFP. So because someone was asking me what's the reason for the sell for NFP. All right. So we tapped and then we started to sell for NFP. But before then, what happened prior to that day was this was Monday. So it was Tuesday, this was Monday. So on Monday we closed bullish, then we closed bullish, and then our bullish close was above this previous daily resistance. So we closed bullish above this period. So that's a breakout. So we had the breakout, a bullish breakout right here, bullish breakout, and then we had a retest of our SNR level. And after the retests, we obviously would move from this weekly rejection to another weekly rejection. So I remember I sent this to the page where this was I tapped this level and this level. I sent a weekly chart to the page that had those two SNRs marked out. Right. And the reason why I love to mark extreme SNRs for gold particularly is that from experience, gold will always seek extreme price action. It always goes to the extreme. So your classic SNR is very, very important. Pairs like gold, US 30, NASDAQ, GBP, JPY, they always go to the extreme. They always, or they love going to the extreme. Makes it very interesting for SNR traders. Right. So that means when you have two POIs, when you're considering two POIs, all things being equal, there's a higher chance that price will use the extreme SNR level compared to a more closer one. All right. So in this case scenario, we had a daily breakout, right? So we tapped into it on Tuesday and then we continued bullish. So we came to this monthly SNL level, which also coincides with our weekly SNL level. So the interesting thing about this whole um story is something I want to show you guys now. All right, the concept of storyline. Now, the important thing about storyline is from basic SNR, we know that when monthly reject monthly, we go from monthly support to monthly resistance, right? When monthly reject monthly, we go from monthly support to monthly resistance. And when weekly reject weekly, we go from that weekly support or resistance to another weekly support or resistance. And the levels we are targeting could be a classic SNR, could be an HNS level, could be an engulfing fail, could be a weekly liquidity, or could be gap levels, weekly gap levels. But there is something that is much more interesting in the sense that, let me show you something. There are times that price would get to a weekly level on a lower time frame, but on the weekly chart, price has not gotten to that weekly level. But when price gets to that weekly level on the lower time frame, you see a reaction. So let me show you something. For example, this weekly level here. Okay. Now see, this is a weekly gap. If you guys agree with me, this gap here is a weekly gap. But on the weekly chart, we had not tapped this gap level yet. We just broke this gap level. So this is a broken gap level. So we just broke this gap level. We had not tapped it yet. All right. Now this is something very salient about storyline. We had broken, this is a broken gap level. This level, let me make it more visible. Let's make this. All right. So this is a broken gap level, right? And you expect that, oh, probably this new week we can have something like this. Probably not, not saying for sure. We can have something like this. So it could happen, it could be something else, or we can just have something like this. Either way, anyone works out. But the interesting thing that I want you to pay attention to is that this is a weekly gap level. And then on the weekly chart, we had not gotten there. And this happened to SNR levels from weekly and daily on lower time frames. But on H4, on the H4, we are tapped or we have tapped this weekly level. See it right here. The buy that happened after NFP happened after tapping this weekly level. Note that this is a weekly level that has been broken, right? So you expect a retest, and that is what happens 2 time frame below. You'll find that 2 time frames below is going to use that exact same higher time frame level that you'd seen before. It happens every time on the charts. It happens every time. All right. I'll look for another example. Look for another example. See this. I'm going to make this black for a reason. So we pay attention to this area. Then let's go to the H1 chart. So see, the first time price broke out of this daily gap or this daily SNR level was right here. So this is, I need to mark it to be, I wish I had the replay button. Goodness of, so let me do something like this, because I want to see the reaction that happened here for the buy before this candle came in. Right, that's the aim, to see that reaction before that candle came in. So on the daily, right, so good. So we broke out on the daily, and this is the daily candle that we saw earlier on the higher time frame chart. Now, before this daily candle happened, you have this immediate H1 tap that happened. This H1 tap happened, and then we had buys to the upside before we came down. So, although price had not gotten, I think it's better if you can see this in real time. Although price has not gotten to the zone in this case scenario, but even within this area, there will be a tap on the lower time frame. So it means that when you come to the day for your daily analysis, when you come to do your daily market review, you must always start from marking out your daily, weekly, and monthly SNR charts. Those are the places you want to pay attention to. Your daily, your weekly, and your monthly SNR. All right. There are times where price would, for example, there are times where this is a monthly SNR level, right? This is a monthly resistance, and price has stabbed into it. Interesting, right? But if you don't have this level marked down from prior, you would keep wondering, why did price use this level? Oh, why did this sell happen? So you keep asking questions. So what you want to do immediately you come to your chart in the morning, in the afternoon, whatever time you come to your chart, is you want to mark out your monthly, your weekly, and your daily SNR levels, important SNR levels, right? So when you do that, after doing that, so that means at the same time you'd have seen this monthly resistance. You'd also have seen that monthly resistance coincides with a weekly resistance. So already you're having a narrative that, oh, today is Friday, you might actually get a sell. All right. So and you fast forward to the daily charts. And the daily charts, you know that when we had this candle close, so this was a daily reject daily, and then you expect price to come to a new daily level, which was this level, right? This support level right here, which is how storyline is actually which is what makes storyline interesting. So it means that we now that we have a monthly reject monthly, we are looking for price to actually go to another monthly level if we would continue bearish, right? And for us to know if we continue bearish, we have to see a daily break. We have to see next daily candle close bullish. Okay, we have to see next daily candle close bullish, because for a storyline to be valid, there has to be a breakout 2 or 1 time frame below. All right, a lot of gurus say 2 time frames below for beginners, 1 time frame below for beginners, 2 time frame below if you're an expert. But the major or the accepted concept is to actually look for 2 time frames below. So the interesting thing about storyline, weekly reject weekly, go 2 time frames below. Look for breakouts 2 time frames below, breakouts 2 time frames below. All right, that will be H4. Daily reject daily, look for breakout 2 time frames below. That is going to be H1. Now you're not just paying attention to random things on the chart. You're not just paying attention to random SNR levels. Like I mentioned before, you're paying attention to your classic SNR, your classic SNR. You pay attention to engulfings and engulfing fill. You pay attention to liquidity, all right? You pay attention to your HNS level, your broken HNS, and your gap levels. So these are your important framework for your storyline. These are what you want to see when your storyline begins to build up. So your storyline could be that price is going from a classic weekly SNR to a classic to a weekly engulfing. All right. Price can go from a weekly liquidity to a weekly HNS level. So price can move from one of these guys, right? Any of these guys here. Price can move from any of these guys. You can go from this guy on the weekly time frame, from weekly SNR can go to a weekly liquidity. Weekly liquidity level can then go to a weekly gap level. As long as price gets to these places and then you see a rejection, your idea is to go 2 time frames below and look for breakout. There is no valid storyline without checking for breakout 2 time frames below. Now, when you see your breakout 2 time frames below, you also have to wait for the closing of the candle on that time frame. So, for example, let's say, let's say, let's take this for as an example. This rejection here. So, 2 time frames below, this daily reject daily is H1, right? So, H1 breakout. So, where's our H1 breakout? Line chart, the best place for um checking breakout. So line chart. Now on the line chart, there's something very interesting. You can consider quite a lot number of narrative. Okay. Structural wise, we took this low, right? Price took liquidity below this low, and then we took the high. Take the low, take the high, which is the exact same thing that happened for this sell continuation. So for this sell continuation, see what happened here. We took the low, right? Take the low, and then we took the high. And then we had this something like this, this or this, thing more like this. A trend line for confirmation, all right? We had trend line for confirmation. The top, no, not exactly. So I think I'll go for this instead. So we had trend line confirmation, all right? So we take the low and then we take the high. So that was a manipulation setup complete. And then we saw the huge sell happen. So 2 time frames below the H1 is is M15. M15 2 time frames below the H1. And on the M15, you can see this engulfing, huge, big engulfing. All right. The interesting thing about this engulfing is that on this engulfing, you can see it formed a drop-based drop. There's a drop-based drop. And then there's a buildup of liquidity above it. Price failed to take out all these guys. So we had some sort of compression. So we had compression. And then for NFP, prior to NFP, we just have price come, rate the high, and then formed this engulfing. So this is massive engulfing. So we'll consider this to be a breakout on this time frame. So that'll be our breakout, and that will be your reason to enter. All right, I entered this trade just after this breakout. After this breakout, I entered immediately because I knew there was NFP, and that was like okay, yeah, that was like 2:15, like 15 minutes before NFP. All right, so I entered immediately on this breakout. So we broke. So I entered immediately here. I had my sell stop here, and then price sold massively. And then I already showed the reason for this buy. The reason for this buy is because price came to a weekly level. See, this is a weekly level, and it happens every time where on the higher time frame chart, price has not gotten to that area. But on the lower time frame chart, you see price rejecting from that exact same higher time frame level that has not been tapped on the higher time frame. I don't know if that makes sense. Oh, I'm struggling to explain this. It happens every time, every goddamn time, and it's usually a good area to actually catch good reactionary trades. You get good trades, just like you can see. This is a weekly level, and price came tap into it. So if I decide to refine this level, I can say, oh, okay, we took the previous day's low, which is this low, which will serve as my liquidity area because I have to also consider liquidity. We took that previous day's low, and then we came into this engulfing here. So that could be my own confirmation 2 time frames lower. And then on the 15 minutes chart, we had much more reaction. Very interesting reaction here on 15 minutes. So right here, so you see we had breakout, take the high, take the low. We came into our area, took liquidity, and then started to buy. And I entered this buy also from the same narrative. All right. We took the low, all right? So we had the breakout. Is our breakout, valid breakout. How do we know if breakout is valid? When you see an MSU form after. When you see an MSU form after a breakout, you have a valid breakout. All right. So we took the high and then we took the low and we came to our SNR level right here. Then we took liquidity below this low and then we started to buy. And for buy continuations, it was simply just the same thing. So we'll wait for breakouts again. So we had this breakout, we had that breakout, and this again is a valid swing. I remember explaining this from the last class. The move that came to this low is actually a grab on liquidity on this guy, all right? Grab on liquidity on this guy and then broke structure. So this area is a valid swing for buy continuation. So that would have been a good place to buy. And then another one was this area, right? We took the high and we took the low right here. Take the high, take the low, and then price buys. Why is this good? Remember I said when an MSU forms into an SNL level, it validates the SNL level. So more so, see, this is an M30. Oh, sorry, an H1. There's an H1. Okay, this is an H1 support that price had come to tap. See, valid as an H30 or M30 support. And the same one on M15. So we take the high, so back to M5, to take the high and then take the low. So tell me why I wouldn't buy here. I have my MSU setup formed right into that area. So that validates my SNR level. So an MSU setup validates your SNR level. A grab on liquidity validates your SNR level. So that was the reason for the buy and also the reason for the sell. All right. So that's the interesting things about storyline. A storyline is valid when you see a breakout 2 time frames below. These things are actually very, very basic. And the interesting thing about MSNR is there's a urge to want to know everything or a feeling to want to understand everything on the market before actually taking trades, which is actually not necessary. All right. The knowledge you have now is really enough to make you super, super profitable. The knowledge you have now is enough to make you super, super profitable. A lot of people here, right in this place, a lot of people are seeing different courses. You've watched different courses, in Solfan, RFT, Freshies videos, a lot of people's videos. But then the difference between you and those people is that those people decided to stick with what they know, all right? Decided to stick with what they know and they figured out the journey just on their way. So it is really not going to be an interesting thing to like having to like watch one course or keep going around for courses and all of that. So it's interesting to just if you're watching anybody currently, if you're watching Ari, if you're watching Loaded Potato, you're watching all those big guns, right? You can just stick to them, right? Practice whatever they've done a thousand times, 100 times, right? Practice what they've done 100 times, and then you can have friends you discuss with, people you can actually read price action together. Right. The most misinterpreted thing in MSNR is usually storyline direction because it's usually not very clear. But the moment you have a grasp of what happens when you have your breakout, you find an MSU setup. Your MSU setup will validate your breakout. All right. See, the same thing happened here. See this MSU setup into the cell. See, all right. So see price, we take the low and then we build up all the way before we take the high. The same thing here, take the low, build up all the way to take the high. So that's already building up a bearish narrative for us. It's already building up a bearish narrative. So MSU is not just anything, it's an interesting wonder. All right. I also took this buy. I sent this buy to the page. Why did I take this buy? Easy. See, break the high and then we break the low. And what happened next? We came into this classic support level, right? We tapped into our classic support level. So what am I going to do? I'm going to buy. Why? Because MSNR or your SNR levels is being validated by this manipulation setup, this MSU. So break the high, break the low into a valid area. And this is also an H4 area. So what else do I want? I just need to keep buying, right? So your MSU setup will validate your levels. And that's the same thing that happened here, right? Here we had the same issue. Okay, see, we take the low and then we come to take the high, and we came into this valid broken SNR, broken HNS, sorry. This is a broken HNS, or rather an HNS, not a broken HNS. So this is an HNS level. This is the high, this is the higher high, and then the breakout. So this is an HNS level. Price come, taps into it, and then started to drop. So your MSU setup is actually very important. It will validate your SNR level. If this is the only thing you look for day in, day out, you actually be very, very profitable. It's everywhere on the chart. I mean, like, you can see it everywhere. Okay, you can see it everywhere on the chart, everywhere. See, MSU, take the low, comes take the high, just right there. Take the low, yeah, take the high, right there. So take the low, comes take the high, just right there. See, take the low, yeah, then take the high, take the low, just right here, then took the high, and then continue to sell. So for sell scenario, we'll always take the low first. In a sell scenario, we take the low first, we take the high, then continue to sell. In a buy scenario, we'll take the high first, we'll take the low, then we'll continue to buy. And the idea is that by forming this manipulation setup, this area becomes a valid zone to sell back when price comes back into it, especially if we are following a higher time frame direction. So if you are following a higher time frame direction, your lower time frame MSU is your area to continue or enter for continuations. So when price comes back here, higher time frame, you expect to continue the buy bias. So you can either wait for the MSU to finish forming and then enter right here, or you can wait, you can enter immediately here with an SNL level just above that area. So I think that's pretty much how I validate my storyline. So apart from looking for two time frames below breakout, I also look for an MSU that will validate the storyline. So when there's a manipulation setup that validates your storyline, you're more confident that this is actually where price is going. All right. I think that will be all typically. If there's any question, I think I can take questions now. Okay, I think I can take questions now. If you have any question, oh goodness, I'm tired. I really don't, I'm not very used to this, like all sweaty right now. All right, no questions. So I think would call it a good day. But I think quickly let's can just look at what is likely going to happen from tomorrow in the market. So there are a lot of people saying that we have not completed the sell. So we can have a sell continuation. Can have a sell continuation before we start buying back up. All right. So we tap into this monthly support level. Yes, yes. Just by week, yes, you can consider it valid. Just by week, yes. But stronger if it is stronger when it's by body closure. Just by week, yes, but stronger if there's a body closure, if there's a closing, if there's an MSU with closing price. Right, MSU with closing price is way, way stronger on any time frame. In any time frame, an MSU with closing price is way, way stronger. All right, so okay, that question. Yes, yes. An MSU on H1 or H4 can also be used for daily and weekly direction. Yes, it can be used for daily and weekly direction, but it must be in such a way that's exactly why I'm expecting a sell continuation for this week, for this new week, because this is a daily MSU that just finished for me, right? So we took the low right here and then we took the high right here. and then we are reacting from a monthly resistance. Okay, so tops. What one of the things we are likely to see is if we break this engulfing field, we're likely going to continue lower. Okay, when we break this engulfing field, this daily engulfing field, we're likely going to continue lower. But as far as price stays above this, there's no limit to how high we can go actually. There's no limit to how high. But the moment we break this engulfing field, I think we can continue. We can come as low as this area. Come as low as this area. If we break this engulfing field, okay, we can come as low as that area. So I think that'll be all for now. And I wish you guys a profitable week and good trading. Thank you.